Welcome back to a new video. This lecture is going to be about resampling. This video is going to be one of the videos that I create for my time series analysis playlist. You can just reach to that playlist from the cards of this video. Let's start coding.
We'll import pandas. Now that we have imported pandas, let's create a sample time series dataset. We will use pandas to generate a data frame with a date-time index. Our example will include some dummy stock price data. Let's say date range, and we are going to use PD date range for creating the data. We will say start, and let's say starting point of the 2021, and for the end, let's say 2021, 01, and 10. And let's set frequency as hourly. Actually, let's make this 2, and we are going to take the data from January to February. And then we are going to say df, we will say pd.data frame. We will give date range here, and then we will say columns. We will add date like this. And now we are going to add a column into this. We will say data, and we are going to add dummy stock price data. We are going to use numpy for this. So we can import numpy here, import numpy as np, and we will use numpy.random integer. We will say 0, 100, and size, we are going to set this as length of the date range. So our data is going to be at the same shape with the date. So now you can see that actually you can't see because I made a typo, and now it's going to work and we can see our data now. Let's call it. Great, but we need to do another thing here. We need to set this date as index. So we will use set index for this. We will say date is going to be our index, and we are going to set in place as true, so we don't need to reassign it. And when we run this cell, we are going to see that our data frame has the index of the date column. Great. In this code snippet, we are creating a data frame with hourly data from January 1st to February 10th, 2021. We then populate it with random integers to simulate stock prices. This date column is set as the index. Okay, let's start with downsampling now. Downsampling involves reducing the frequency of the data points. For instance, we can go from hourly data to daily data. To perform daily resampling, we will use the resample method and then apply an aggregation function like mean, sum, or max. Let's take the daily average. So for this, we will say df daily, and we will say df resample. We will give daily here, and we will say mean. So let's just call df daily and see what we have created. You can see that instead of hourly data, we have daily data here. These are the daily average stock prices. Notice how the data points are fewer but represent the average for each day. We are going to talk more about downsampling later on this video, but now we are going to talk about upsampling. This is when we increase the frequency of the data points. Keep in mind that upsampling can introduce null values as it creates additional rows. Let's upsample our hourly data to a 30-minute interval. So we will say df 30 min, we will say df resample, we will say 30t, and we will use forward fill here. And let's also call df 30 min in here. Here I use the forward fill method to forward fill the null values. It basically takes the last known value and uses it to fill the subsequent nulls. Let's discuss custom resampling. Suppose we want to get the average stock price every 2 days and 3 hours. So we will say df custom, and we're going to do df resample, and we will say 51 hours here, and we'll use .mean, and let's call this. In here, we set the frequency to 51 hours, which represents 2 days and 3 hours. Okay, after covering the basic downsampling and upsampling, let's explore more methods that you can use to summarize your data. First, let's consider a situation where you might need weekly data. This can be useful for weekly reports. For this, we can say df weekly, and we will say df resample, and we will add w here, and we will say dot sum, and let's call df weekly. We use w as the frequency string for weekly resampling and applied the sum function here. This will give you the sum of stock prices for each week. Let's say you need monthly data for monthly performance reviews. We can say df monthly, and we can use df resample. We will say month here, then we will just take the sum of it, and let's call df monthly. Let's say you want to check the maximum value for each month. You can just change this to maximum, and you are going to get the maximum values for each month. Great, let's talk about more advanced upsampling techniques. We have covered basic upsampling to 30-minute intervals. What if you need more granular data? Let's upsample our data to 15-minute intervals. So I'm just going to do df 15 minutes. We will say df resample, and we will use 15t here. Then we will use backward fill this time. And let's also call our data. Here it is. Here I use the bfill method, which stands for backward fill. It fills the known values with the next known value. And the method for upsampling is interpolation. Let's try upsampling to a 5-minute frequency. For that, we will say df 5 minutes, and we will use df resample, and we will add 5t here. Then we will say interpolate. And let's see our data frame. Here it is. Interpolation provides a way to fill in missing values by considering the values of surrounding points. It's especially useful when your data follows a trend. Lastly, you can also combine upsampling and downsampling techniques. For instance, you might first upsample to fill in gaps and then downsample to aggregate data. Let's do it in a data frame like df combo, and we can say df resample. Let's say 30t here, then we will use forward fill. Great, now we are going to use resample again, and we will say daily, and we will take the mean here, and let's call df combo. In this example, we first upsampled to a 30-minute frequency using forward fill, and then we downsampled to a daily frequency while taking the mean. That was all for this video.
Thanks for watching the video. I'm sharing 2 or 3 new videos every week about data science and Python programming. You can subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. This was one of the lectures of time series analysis playlist. You can watch the others for learning more. I'm going to add the playlist link in the cards of this video or in the description. See you in the next tutorial.